This is a demo of the video game Super Grid. There's also a board version that's non-software that can also be played. When you start the game, it starts off in demo mode. 4 pieces in a row wins. And you can see the game pieces on either side. There are 6 light bulbs that are yellow and 6 light bulbs that are blue that will be placed onto this power grid. And you only need to get 4 pieces in a row to win. I'm going to click the next button to go to the next part of the demo. You can get 4 pieces horizontally. You can get 4 light bulbs vertically, or you could get 4 in a row diagonally. Notice that the pieces are on the grid intersections, similar to what you do in the game Pente. They are not inside the squares like what you would see in tic-tac-toe or Connect 4. To move the pieces, first you tap on the piece you want to move. Then you click on the intersection that you want to move to. After all of your pieces have been placed onto the board and there are no winners, remember, you can get 4 in a row just by placing them onto the board. But after both of you place all of your pieces onto the board, now, unlike other board games, you're able to move your pieces around. To move your piece, you first tap on the piece you want to move, and then you click or tap on the spot you want to slide to. It must be in a straight line, and you cannot pass through any other object. So, for example, you couldn't move this piece over to here because there are 2 objects in the way, your own and your opponent's. You also could not move diagonally up to here because of the yellow light bulb. Now, if the yellow light bulb wasn't there, then this piece could travel freely all the way up to here on that diagonal line. It also cannot move to this spot right here because that is not in a straight line. There is no line path from there to there. So you can go vertically, horizontally, or in a straight diagonal when you move on a path that is open. So when you click this one first and where you want to go to, you'll see it move to that location. Now this is what the main Super Grid menu screen looks like. You just tap here to start the game. Before we do that, it says you can tap the options button to change gameplay. So let's look at some of those options for a second. 1, you can play against the computer. This game was originally created so that you could play with 2 people and on the same phone or Windows computer. You could play together. You're both right there. But if not, you can also play against the computer by clicking on this button. There's also a thing called dead zones. You can turn them on by clicking on the button or turning them off. Now, dead zones look like stop signs, and they're placed on the grid in random places, and you cannot slide through those dead zones. If your piece attempts to slide through a dead zone, it bounces back to its original position. There can be up to 6 randomly generated dead zones. The software will generate where those dead zones will be placed. If you're playing the board version of the game, there'll be a dice that you roll that will tell you how many dead zones there will be, and you roll the dice to see in which positions to place the dead zones. Now, in the computer software, if you have a dead zone on, you could also say by default that I want to see those dead zones, or you can make them invisible by clicking that button, and now you are hiding the dead zone, which means you cannot see where they're at. And the only way to find out where a dead zone is when you run into it. When you run into it, your piece will bounce back. However, the dead zone will still remain hidden, so you'll have to remember where that dead zone is located. Now, one of the main purposes of these dead zones is to create a unique game experience every time you play, because the board will change every time you play when you use the dead zones. And when you use the hidden, you won't know where these dead zones are located at. They're going to be at different locations. There'll be a different number of them. So your strategies will change because you can't slide on the diagonal through those dead zones. And so whatever winning strategy you have when there are no dead zones may not work when you have 1 or 2 dead zones. And the strategies you use for 2 dead zones may not be any good for games that have 4 dead zones. And one other option that you have over here is you can turn the timer on. When you turn the timer on, you have 5 seconds to make a move before you lose your turn. I call that speed super grid because you got to move really fast and think quick. You really have 6 seconds if you count the 0, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You don't lose the game, you just lose your turn. I'm going to turn it back to off. So right now, the game is off. We don't have any dead zones, and we're not going to play against the computer. So this is just the normal default when you start the game. When you start the game, the computer will tell you whose turn it is. You click on the light bulb, the piece you want to move, and you move it. And then the other player, his turn, the yellow clicks on the yellow piece and then clicks on the board somewhere. And now the blue turn, I'll click on the blue turn player's light bulb and I'll place it right there. Notice the light bulbs are flashing whenever the power's on. Now, this player one, the yellow one, if he's smart, would place it right here so the other opponent does not get 3 in a row. Because if your opponent gets 3 in a row where either side is going to be open on the other end, you will not be able to block them within 2 plays. I'm going to pretend this player doesn't know that, is a beginner, and places their piece right there. Now, player 2 can guarantee their win by clicking on their piece and placing it right there with 3 in a row. Now, yellow can block it by going up here, but blue will win by going down here. But if yellow places it down here, blue will win by placing it up at the top. So yellow blocks up at the top, and blue will place down here at the bottom, and player 2 wins. Now you click tap to restart, or you can click the new game button. Let's change the options for a minute. Click the options button, turn dead zones on, and let's go back. Now, notice that we have 1 dead zone. We place it randomly right here. That means I cannot slide on the diagonal through that location. I'm going to randomly put the pieces on the board. I am not trying to win on this particular game. I'm just trying to show you what will happen when you try to slide through that piece later. I'm going to show you what happens also if you click on the wrong place. If you click on here, and let's say I click on the yellow one, it'll make a noise that, nope, you can't do that. So let's place it over here. And if I click on my blue piece, it's going to give me a little error sound. I have to click on the yellow piece. It's yellow's turn. And I'm just placing these randomly on the board. I'm not attempting to win at all. I'm just trying to get the place where all the pieces are on the board and we can start moving around so you can see what the movement looks like. Okay, we have all the pieces. We got one more here. There we go. All the pieces are on the board. Now, when you want to move, let's say I want to move this piece here, the yellow piece, down to here. First, I click on the yellow piece, light bulb, and then I click on where I want to move to. And you'll see the piece move. Now it's the blue turn. Now let's say blue wants to move this piece right down to here. Right down to here. Okay, you can't stop in the score. It's got to be on the intersections. So I click on the blue, and I click on the spot I want to go to. But notice it bounced back to its starting position because it ran into a dead zone, that stop sign. I'll show you that again. I click on the blue light bulb up here. I click down here. And it doesn't like that. It won't let me go through there. I can move this piece over to here without any problem. I can also move the yellow from here down to here without any problem. Notice that the stop sign doesn't stop anything moving vertically or horizontally, just on the diagonals going through there. All right. Now let's go ahead and finish up this game. It's a blue turn. Move to there. Yellow's going to be silly and move to there. And blue's turn to go over here. And wins again. I'm going to hit the tap to restart. Go to the options button, and this time I want to show you what it's like when the timer is on and you play against the computer. It's player one's turn. It's giving the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's a 0. Made it just in time. Now the computer's going through, and it made its move. Okay? You saw some of the test messages popping up. So with timer mode, you get a little countdown on how long you have to place your pieces, or you lose your turn. Let's turn the computer version off. You have 5 seconds. I'm going to place it here. And now it's blue player's turn. I'm going to place it here. Now it's yellow's turn, and I'll place it here. And now it's blue's turn, but oh, maybe I'm thinking too long. 2, 1, 0. And I lost my turn and went back to yellow, and I get to place it here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, made it just in time, and I got the blue in there, but yellow's going to win by going up here. Whoops. Waited too long. The alarm went off. Oh well. Blue places it. Wrong place. Yellow wins. Okay? And that's it for the demo of the game Super Grid.